Cool. Welcome, everyone, to another edition of the MSP Mastered webinar series. Today's topic is you're selling and doing network monitoring all wrong and how to fix it. Hey, before we get started, there's a lot of different ways I'm going to ask you to help participate in today's conversation. I'm going to ask you to chat me. I'm going to ask you to raise your hands at different points during the conversation. We're, of course, going to have Q&A. So in your chat control panel, use the drop-down list and select everyone so we can all see what the original question was from the original poster when we're all responding. Sometimes, folks forget to switch that. I don't know why by default it's not set to everyone, but maybe that opens up other cans of worms, right? So select everyone so we can have a really candid discussion today. I'm looking forward to your participation. I do have a couple of polls, so I want it to be very engaging, and I would like you to participate along with me. My name is Erick Simpson. I like to say these days that I'm a recovering MSP, but I work with hundreds of MSPs and IT providers just like you to help them improve their business outcomes. I built and sold one of the first MSPs in the industry back in the early 2000s, and I've spent the balance of my career since helping partners just like yourself just get more out of what you're doing day to day and build the value of what you're contributing to the organization, as well as building the value of your organizations. So, hey, I have a fun question for us. You know how this works, those of you that have been on these webinars with me before, right? Let me copy it into the chat. Are you ready? Today's fun question is, what's the best single pilot fighter ship in Star Wars? Hit me with an X if you like X-Wing fighters. Hit me with a T if you like the TIE fighters as well. The Resistance, the Rebels, and the bad guys had their particular ships. I see a lot of X's. Nobody likes the TIE fighters. I thought Darth Vader's TIE fighter was the coolest ship. I did like the X-Wings, though. When they said lock X foils in attack position, that first time you see those X's open up, that was cool, right? And okay, so for extra credit, I appreciate the chat, Cal. Yeah, T sounds way better too, right? Here's an extra credit question. Who's the first one that can type, what does TIE stand for in TIE fighter? Who knows? Hit me with it. All right. I think the X-Wings have it, but does anyone know what TIE means? T-I-E? Am I aging myself? Am I the only one that knows this arcane knowledge of Star Wars? TIE stands for, nobody's got it? Michael got it. Good one, Michael. Twin ion engine. Did you Google that? I don't know. Anyway, let's get into today's conversation. Hey, let me share a quick agenda. All right, good for you, Michael. You knew it. High five. Today's agenda, why the typical network monitoring and endpoint management pitch just doesn't cut it anymore in today's heightened cybersecurity threat landscape, and how to flip the script to make that conversation and these services and solutions a true strategic value and revenue generator and profit center for you. Okay, so we're going to get into that. New and different ways to position these services to grow lifetime strategic value with clients. You never think about, network monitoring, patch management, endpoint management as I don't think as valuable as we thought it was when I first launched my MSP practice back in like 2004, right? It was like all new and cool. We were delivering these cool services, but now I tend to find that it seems like more of just, yeah, we do that. We're just adding it to our bundles. It's a checkbox that we do for clients. We're not really expressing that strategic value and the importance of it, right? So we're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about how to use reporting correctly to demonstrate not only compliance. I don't mean security compliance, but yes, that too, but compliance, our compliance to making sure we're delivering on our promise to monitor and manage those assets and services for our clients that we've agreed to do in our agreements and our SALs, right? Proving that value and then leveraging that reporting to, again, grow strategic lifetime or grow long-term client lifetime value. I got tongue-tied there. We've got a great panel discussion that I can't wait to have with a couple of partners that are using these services in very unique ways. that, like I say, I'm not going to give it away, but it's very interesting. We got some cool stories to talk about and how they're using these services to further this discussion that we're having today, having these outcomes with their clients, more strategic, right? Making sure that they're using reporting properly and different and unique ways that they're using these services that I'm not going to give away. So that'll be exciting. And then we're going to transition into a discussion about ManageEngine's MSP solution that really empowers their partners with really cool reporting and automation and single pane of glass functionality to increase efficiencies, productivity, do more with less, and deliver services more profitably. So really delivering on the promise of what we're talking about. All right. I want to talk a little bit about the old way of positioning network monitoring and endpoint management. Hey, we've got a great solution. So you see I have SPA, right? And over on the right side of the screen, I have PAS. And those of you that have read Secrets of Question-Based Selling, hit me with an exclamation point in the chat if you've read that book. Secrets of Question-Based Selling, I'm highly recommending it to you. Thank you, Mark. I see that. If you haven't read it, the author's name is, I'm trying to remember now, Thomas Freeze, okay? Thomas Freeze is a very successful sales professional. He's got a very unique way of positioning how to ask the right questions in the right sequence so that your prospects and clients basically sell themselves on your services. I'm just giving you a little bit of a snippet there. I highly recommend you read it. Let me know what you think when you're done with that book, Hank. I see your chat. Pick it up. It's, I think, less than $15 on Amazon. It changed the way that my organization sold. It changes the way I train and coach sales teams for MSPs and vendors and distributors, right? I do this and I base a lot of this on different techniques, but really this concept of the old way versus a more effective way of selling comes straight from Tom Freeze. So the old way is, hey, we've got this great solution. It does all these awesome things. Here are the problems that it solves for you, and then here are the alternatives of how we can engage, right? The solution is you've got a big problem. No, we have a solution, right? I remember back in, the early days of my IT practice actually launched in 97. I transitioned to an MSP in 2004. So between that time, we were a Microsoft Gold certified partner. Microsoft would do marketing for us, and we'd send them our client list. They said, hey, we're going to send postcards out. We've got the new version of whatever the server was at the time, the new version of Windows Server. And they would send the postcard out, and I remember this like it was yesterday, and it was a picture of the box of a license or a picture of a server, right? Because they do a partnership maybe with a hardware, with a server manufacturer, Dell or somebody, right? And that's what the message was. Hey, we've got the great new version of Windows Server. And then it would talk about the problems that it solved. You can be more efficient, you can do this, you can do that, right? And then how do you engage with, my IT company. The more effective way is to identify the problem first, right? What is the problem that you're having? The problem right now, and the problem in today's discussion that we're going to really leverage is the threat of cyber terrorism, right? How many of you, hit me with an A in the chat. I'm mixing it up. Hit me with an A. Hey, you're welcome, Bill and Danny. If you are leading your conversations with cybersecurity now and really are focusing on helping your clients enhance their cybersecurity posture, A. I sound like Fonzie, right? Again, dating myself, right? From Happy Days. Thank you for that feedback, right? So if you're leading with cybersecurity, this allows us to really focus our conversations around this big threat, and it allows us to set appointments now, if we're leading with cybersecurity, even when there's an incumbent IT provider or MSP in the mix, right? Because we're focusing on cybersecurity. We're talking about the problem. The problem is you're at risk. And, clients have their typical objections or prospects have objections. Well, nobody wants my data. Yeah, but you want your data, right? So we get to have those conversations with them, and we get to build that urgency, right? That yes, you are under attack. In fact, I just spoke with 2 or 3 different partners that I'm doing coaching or consulting engagements with just this last week and a half, right? Kind of a little bit of the end of last weekend. Every single one of them said they've had more than one client have a security incident or a ransomware attack in the last 90 days. One said they had 4 clients, right? How many of you, exclamation point time in the chat, have a client that has had a security incident or breach in the last 12 months? I'm going to give you a little more time to think about it. 12 months, hit me with an exclamation point. Big news, right? Look at that. The reason I asked for the chat is because everybody can see it, right, and see the response. So that's why I'm asking for chat. So this is the big problem. So the alternatives are, these are the same 3 things that any buyer always thinks of. 3 things. You'll learn this in Secrets of Question-Based Selling. They think, well, what if I did nothing? What's the worst thing that can happen? Well, obviously, that's the costliest potential option, right? When you get ransomed or hacked, and then you get double extorted. Not only are we going to ransom your data, business owner, but if you don't pay us, we're going to publish it to the internet. How's that? All your client data, all your company data, right? Double extortion. So that's a big problem. If you did nothing, that's the worst thing that can happen. The other option they think of is, well, could I fix it myself? Well, back in the days when there wasn't a big security problem and we did just, managed IT services, I bet you probably had a client or 2 or more or 10 that had somebody internal that was a little bit of a gamer. They knew their way around computers, and you'd get a ticket and you'd have to, back in the day, right? You try to start troubleshooting it and go, well, what happened? Oh, we don't know. It was working fine yesterday. Meanwhile, that gamer or that person that was a little savvy about computers in that company, their fingerprints and DNA are all over this thing, like they were trying to fix it before it got to you. You know what I'm saying, right? Just, wink at me. I'm kidding. I can't see your cameras, right? But you know what I mean, right? They'd have these, if they could fix the problem themselves, they would try to do it. Well, these clients cannot fix, thank you, Bill, a little smiley face emoji, I like it. These clients cannot fix this cybersecurity challenge without you. So the alternative of can I fix it myself doesn't hold water, right? If you could have done it, you'd have done it by now, but you can't. That's why you need us. And then the third alternative they think about is always, should I go with someone else, right? Why should I go with you? And then the solution is always, you need to go with us because here's what we do. Here's our great client testimonials. Here's how many clients we've saved, right? Here's how many clients we've strengthened their security posture that have not had an incident. You get the idea, right? So the more effective way is the way to build this urgency and to position network monitoring and endpoint management as the tip of the spear. We have to assess first. We have to monitor, and then we have to patch, and then we have to maintain that infrastructure in order to enhance your cybersecurity posture. If we can't measure what's happening, how can we ever know whether we're doing a decent job at it or not, or if we've done everything that we need to do that, right? So here are the 3 things that post-pandemic buyers are worried about today. These are the challenges that business owners that have come through the last couple of years along with us are really focused on and worried about and are investing in. Cybersecurity and data protection, absolutely, right? I mean, we don't have to market for that, right? Many of you may have been in the MSP industry for as long as I have, right? Remember in the early days, those of you that are, have been at it as long as I have, where we'd have to train and teach clients what managed services was. They really didn't understand it. They were just used to paying the break fix fee all the time, right? Well, the breaks, we pay you, you fix it. We had to educate them, right? It took a while to do that. Now, I challenge you to find a company that hasn't had an experience with an MSP provider, right? Even when you're knocking on the door and winning that new business. The difference here is we don't have to teach clients about the threat of cybersecurity. We don't have to market to them. We don't have to educate them. They're seeing it every single day. The best thing we can do is to have alerts pop up when there is a breach in our local geography or in a vertical that we serve our clients with them, and we use that, or stories about our clients getting breached because they didn't move forward with our enhanced cybersecurity posture, right? So we don't really have to educate them. All we have to do is have a strong solution stack for them, to show them how we're going to assess with monitoring and how we're going to patch and update devices, applications, and services to bring them up to recommended security levels, and how we're going to continue to strengthen their perimeter and their devices, their infrastructure, and how we're going to even train their users on end user security awareness training so that we are raising the awareness here of what they need to do to protect themselves. Again, the marketing isn't as tough as it was for MSPs, but now we've got to come in and we've got to talk to these clients, and now positioning the discussion around these three areas that they're interested in or investing in is the way to do that. So we're going to have a strong cybersecurity conversation. We're going to talk about accelerating the cloud migrations that they've already accelerated by multiples and multiples of times because of the pandemic, much, much faster than they would have beforehand. And we know this because of surveys that organizations like McKinsey and Microsoft do. These are the buyers that are telling us this, that they're going to continue to do that. And then remote workforce support and management. Well, all of these things require us to monitor and manage all of these assets, including services, including cloud workloads, including virtual devices, including on-premise stuff. So the conversation just got really big now, right? So here's the question. Are you your own worst enemy? Are you valuing your network monitoring and endpoint management services properly yourself in order to maximize their strategic importance for your clients? So you've got to understand these things first in order for you to be effective at conveying the importance of this to your clients. So here's a quick poll. Help me out and answer this question. I'll give you 5 seconds because I got to hurry up. I got a few more slides I got to get to. I want to get to our panel discussion. So could you improve how you position the strategic value of your network monitoring and endpoint management services to your clients? So I'm going to give you a 3 count. 3, 2, 1. I'm ending the poll now. Get your vote in. All right, here it goes. I'm sharing the results. A whopping 95% of you say yes. I expect that. Those of you that said I don't know, that means yes to me, okay? Just letting you know. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing. So we're having the right conversation. You're in the right spot. Whoops. So building urgency and maximizing value when qualifying your client. Here are a couple of questions I want you to think about, and I want you to make these your own. And especially when you have a new prospect that you're having a conversation with. Again, these are these urgency building type of questions, right? Raising that problem to a high level of urgency to address it. What are your high risk or critical systems and platforms? What are they? And the client may not know all of them or remember them all, so help them along. What about this? What about that, right? This shows that you are the expert at this. You're introducing things that they're not expressing. Yes, what about that? What about this? What about that? Are they and all of your sensitive data identified and protected? Yes, I think so. How do you confirm that? This is where reporting comes into play, right? This is where monitoring comes into play. How do you confirm that? If they don't have a good answer, you're creating a wedge between their existing provider and you, creating an opportunity. How adversely would data loss, disaster, or ransomware attack affect your business? What's the worst thing that can happen if you did nothing to address these important issues, right? Dropping the hammer on them. Okay, next poll real quick. I'm losing my mouse. Here it is. Are you using reporting consistently to prove value and invoice accurately? That's the value of reporting. Are you using reporting consistently to prove value and invoice accurately? Yes, no. 3 seconds. 3, 2, get it in there. Get your vote in. 1, ending and sharing. Okay. So, congratulations, those of you that said yes. For those of you that said no, we got a little work to do, right? Okay. 5 quick things. Start here. Number 1, assess and fix any existing network issues, right? Assess and fix. Don't have conversations where you're trying to add strategic value with clients when you've got stuff that needs to be fixed and they know it. Number 2, automate regular monitoring reports. Many of you may not be using reports or even automating the delivery of these reports or using them in your QBRs. Automate those reports and then promote network monitoring and endpoint management during strategic meetings as a top security value and a benefit. Use the reporting so you can true up your client billing monthly. Don't wait months and have clients that you haven't trued up and then try to get them to subscribe to enhanced cybersecurity, and you're increasing the price of that to make up for stuff you should be billing for all along. Selling and introducing new services and solutions to your clients should be profitable on their own. They shouldn't be used to true up things that you're not billing for. Okay? You guys get it. Forecast for growth and adjust your agreements and new sales as needed. You find new things when you're monitoring. Make sure you're identifying those and you're billing for those and you're adding them as sales to your existing client agreements. So take home message: position network monitoring and endpoint management as a core part of an enhanced cybersecurity services. All right. Thanks everyone for chatting and participating. I'm going to ask you to continue doing so while we have an awesome panel discussion. I'd like to introduce and appreciate my two panelists today: Harris Goutsianis from Cambrian Technologies and Rudy Martins from Datacentrics. Welcome, team. Go ahead and share your cameras, and I'm going to stop my share so we can go all on video. How you guys doing, Harris and Rudy? Thank you so much. I know you're in a very different time zone than I am today, right? So I'm going to start with Harris. Harris, tell us a little bit about yourself, your company, where you're located, and then I'll ask Rudy to do the same and introduce yourselves and your title. And let's get into our conversation today. Go ahead, Harris.
Hi, Eric. Thank you for the introduction. Nice to see the whole presentation in the webinar. It's very great and valuable information over there. My name is Harris. I'm from Greece. I do live in Greece. I work for Cambrian Technologies as a senior systems engineer. Cambrian Technologies is a 100% cloud-oriented MSP. And what we try to do with, as Eric said, with the pandemic hitting here, all the remote workforce is a really big thing happening. So what we try to do, we try to introduce quick, easy, secure, and cost-effective solutions to our customers for a great remote workforce.
Thank you, Harris. Hey, Rudy, tell us a little bit about yourself, your organization, and where in the world you are. Rudy, having a hard time hearing your audio, Rudy. There you go.
Sorry about that.
Thank you. Yeah, better.
I work in South Africa for a company called Datacentrics. We are a...
Yeah, still having a hard time, Rudy. I'm sorry. I apologize. Any way you can get that mic a little closer to you? So you were saying you're in South Africa, right? Datacentrics. We got that. Please continue.
There is systems integrated with customers all around the world, mainly in South Africa, but in Saudi as well. And we've got quite a few interesting customers on board that use our services from an endpoint security as well as a monitoring perspective. So I head up the monitoring as a service division and work as an architect as well.
Thank you. And your audio cleaned up nicely. Thank you for that. Now I promised the attendees that we were going to share the different and unique ways each of your organizations are using these services. So I'm going to jump back to you, Harris. Now, traditionally, me as an engineer, right, I think of the traditional, what I was brought up on, right, managing, on-premise infrastructure and things like that. Now, I know from our chats prior to today's session that not only does Cambrian also support on-prem devices, but you've also begun leading the charge with your clients in other ways that are not on-prem and providing services and using monitoring in a very unique way. So can you share a little bit about that?
Of course, yeah. As you said, security is a thing that we need to worry about these days. So what we do provide for customers that they do require and they do use sensitive data, we have put them into a VDI solution, not a traditional VDI, a desktop as a service nowadays, which is in the cloud, either in AWS or Azure, so Azure Virtual Desktops or AWS Workspaces, respectively. And we do need to start monitoring these devices, I would say, because we're talking about hundreds of devices. Imagine we're no longer having a laptop. These users, they can use any device they want, and everything is in the cloud. So we need to understand what's happening there. The first challenge we hit was cost. You cannot really translate on-prem environment one by one with the cloud ones, because the compute power, it can be very, very expensive. On our customer case, we do not use shared resources. We're using dedicated resources. So each user will have its own VDI. As you can imagine, this can be very expensive. But this case is mandatory because we're talking about usually it's lawyers' office or people that they have legal requirements to have their own machines, really. So we started with the cost. We started moving things into the cloud, these customers into the cloud, and the first shock that is coming is, how do we actually improve cost? How do we optimize these costs? We started monitoring these devices, and we started with a baseline of, let's say, a 4 gig machine with 2 vCPUs, and we wanted to see if this is enough. So we're starting with these, with this kind of baseline. We're monitoring this over a period of time, and we get a bunch of users on who will need a bigger machine, who will need a smaller machine. So we can provide this sort of reporting that RMM monitoring provides back to a management team on whoever decides about the finance side of things of a business, and then we can justify and prove over a reporting over a period of time if we can get the machines bigger or smaller in that respect. Another thing that helps us with monitoring and the VDI solution is we try to be proactive, and we want happy customers. That's when we're talking about end users, and when you're talking about an end user that is using something that you manage, which is they're not holding it on their hands, you're 100% responsible of that. So it's very important for us to be upfront, and if something happens, we need to know it in advance. So if we keep monitoring a device and we see that the user is over 90%, let's say, of the compute resources that we allocate to a user, we can see that easily, and then we can go back to the user ourselves and say, you're eligible for a bigger machine, let's say. So they don't have to start complaining and come back to us and say, yeah, I cannot work on that. The other thing that it's easy for our support team to do is, nowadays everyone's working from different locations, either from a coffee shop or from home or from another location. So working on a DAS solution or a desktop as a service solution, an internet connection is something that you need to have, and it should be relatively stable. So when you use the RMM monitoring, we can at least eliminate the OS level factor, so we can see easily and be quicker on resolving issues that the user might have in that respect.
Now, that is a perfect example, Harris. Thanks for sharing of your adapting to where business is going, right? Adapting and leveraging these traditional types of services in new ways, in a very unique kind of cloud forward position. So really appreciate sharing. Everyone, hit me with an exclamation point if you're doing VDI today. I'm just curious to see that. And while I switch over to you, Rudy, now you're using these services and solutions in a very unique way as well, different from what Harris is doing. So please share a little bit about how your organization is really kind of pushing the boundaries and customizing things to support your unique set of clients in their particular environments. Please go ahead.
Thank you. So yes, I think the way that our clients are positioned are probably the total opposite of Harris's clients in terms of not going to the cloud. Especially the one customer where they are a wildlife conservation company. And those of you who have been to South Africa have probably been to one of our national parks. and we support those people from a patching and a security perspective. So we have, with the ManageEngine toolsets, we have the ability to actually patch and maintain security levels across everyone in the different national parks. So if you drive up to Pask Skakuza in the Kruger Park, where there's no cell phone connection and the bandwidth is really limited, we get to patch those PCs and the laptops of the people working there on a monthly basis. So we make 100% sure that our customers are safe, although they're in the middle of the bush. And obviously, there's always takers to go and do a personal visit, which sometimes doesn't work so nice, but we try. One of our other customers, they are in the agricultural sector, and they've got silos right around the country using our technologies as well. In most of the regions, it's farmlands. There isn't really communication infrastructure other than microwave links that sometimes go up to 50 kilometers. So as you can imagine, the connectivity is a bit wonky. It's not really always what you would expect. And we manage to monitor and maintain that environment as well. We do net flow analysis across microwave links for our customers to see where the bandwidth is going. So if someone plugs in a Samsung phone and does download, we can actually track that. So totally different from what Harris is experiencing, but the tool sets that we do have available gives our customers the insight and us to on-sell that to other customers as well. So we're really embracing all the tool sets that we have that are made available to put them together to actually get to a solution for our customers.
Yeah, it's very, very interesting discussion, Rudy and Harris. I mean, it spans kind of like from a very limited availability of technology or lack of technology all the way to the futuristic cloud. So I really appreciate both of you sharing. I'm going to ask you to stick around for Q&A more towards the end of today's session, but I want to thank you guys for participating, and we'll look to see you more toward the end of the session. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, so let me get back to sharing my screen real quick, if I can do so. Where is my... Hold on a second. Things are disappearing on me, team. All right, here comes my screen share. Boom. So hold your questions, or you can start typing your questions in the Q&A chat now, everyone, if you have more questions for Harris and Rudy, and we'll get back to them. But now it's my great pleasure to introduce our special guest presenter today, Nisha Balaji from ManageEngine. Hey, Nisha.
Hey, everyone. Hey, Eric.
Hey, Nisha, I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen. Tell us a little bit about yourself, a little bit about ManageEngine, and let's continue the conversation that we've queued up from my thought leadership positioning all the way through some of the ways that Harris and Rudy are using ManageEngine, as well as some of your other clients and what they're doing. I'm really interested to hear from you. Thank you again for joining us today.
Very good day, everyone. So thank you for joining, and thank you, Eric, for the kind introduction. So as Eric was saying, I'm a technical evangelist associated with ManageEngine for about 3 years now. And a quick introduction about ManageEngine. It is the IT management division of Zoho Corp. ManageEngine has been for around 20 years now, developing enterprise IT solutions. And now for more than 10 years, we have developed MSP exclusive solutions to cater to all the service providers' needs. And I'm happy to connect here to discuss and analyze, key challenges that we discussed, Eric had discussed, and in the panel, and how you can monitor and manage all your client IT networks and how to fix any and every issues that you find. we've been seeing some common misconceptions that Erick did discuss about monitoring and management, endpoint management. So we also did get a great deal of insight during the panel on how our MSP partners simplify the client management processes and also increase their net ROI. So on a quick review on the needs and expectations of MSPs from such vendors. So as such as you MSPs, you assume an ongoing responsibility, a 24-hour monitoring, management, and problem resolution for all the IT systems within a business. So we do understand that you have two primary aspects. One, of course, is your network device management, and the other is your endpoint management and security. So to provide these capabilities, of course, there are certain expectations that are set upon as vendors like ourselves. Now, when it comes to network monitoring, services are expected to help you in analyzing and understanding the network resource usage, the performance patterns, and to help you optimize your services. And also to help you identify your critical KPIs, to monitor your metrics and those metrics that affect your network performance and fix them as soon as possible. Also, you have your requirements in terms of IT fault management, where you need to get alerts and alarms and immediately fix up these faults. When we look into the endpoint management side, again, the primary aspect, as we already discussed before, is again security, which means timely deployment of all your critical patch and software updates, to all your multi-client network. So with MSP exclusive solutions, you are expected, to provide multiple layers of security, proactively identify any kind of threats that enter your network, and immediately have a counteracting measure. So everyday logs of users that are connected, endpoints that are managed, all your hardware and software details, everything needs to be observed by an MSP and detect and identify if at all there are any anomalies. So with these expectations from a vendor are set, as such, the next course is looking into key aspects of identifying any issues that are present in terms of network monitoring and, to fix them with certain simplified solutions, especially when you have a simplified RMM solution in place. The first and foremost priority, of course, as an MSP is to gain proper visibility into your multi-client network. As your client base grows, you will have to ensure that as an MSP, the visibility into your client network does not ever go down. So to maintain a proper level of visibility, we recommend you to keep it on 3 different levels. At infrastructure level, where you should know all the critical devices that are connected and monitor in your multi-client network. And at your KPI or your metrics level, where you should know all the critical metrics that affect the performance of your network. And at user level, where you know the users and the admins that are connected to have adequate visibility. Now, to gain these levels of visibility, there are very certain best practices that are there. So with an RMM solution in place, you can have device dependency diagrams, which will help you identify and understand the relationship between various devices in a client infrastructure, so that if one system goes down, you can identify which other devices will be affected further. The next technique that I recommend is the KPI criticality correlation. So which particular metric will have what kind of impact in which particular systems? Now, when you get to the answer of this question, you will be able to enable and balance your operational efficiency. Now, once you have these 2 aspects collated, you can monitor or have equal visibility into all your client networks from a multi-screen dashboard and make the best use of all the collated data. Now, next on the monitoring checklist, as Erick did discuss, is staying on top of your SLA compliance for all your clients. Now, to do this monumental and not to mention absolutely mandatory task, 5 simple steps is all that is needed. Identify the most critical SLAs affecting incidents in your client network. And then you will have to identify the devices and metrics that are involved in these incidents so that you can have a history of all the clients to understand the metrics. Now, once you have all the metrics in place, create a visibility wherein you will have multiple devices that are responsible, and single out those together into an integrated view. To simply put, a multi-client SLA compliance for MSPs is to have a direct understanding of your devices, your key metrics, pattern identification with your past history, and collating them into a single view. As you see in the SLA compliance process, the key aspect is identifying the right monitoring mix, the metrics that need to be managed. So being an MSP, you might have limited resources focusing on individual clients. So you need to find the right monitoring mix to reduce your operational cost, effort, and increase your maximum uptime for your clients. Now to do this, identify your critical data and devices, and based on the client information and past patterns. And then you collate all of these common KPIs between multiple clients so that you have a brief overview on what to expect from all your client network. This can help you in gaining a deeper insight and a better perspective into your client network. This can also help you in your license managing for your devices. Now, as a further step, we also recommend you to perform an audit using a KPI impact matrix. So this is just a document which will help you understand the impact of each of the various factors, be it your device utility, your CPU performance, or your utilization of your fan speed, any of these on any of your devices in the client network. So coordinating each devices with different matrices and setting an impact scale will help you analyze the trend, which in turn will help you analyze the important devices and most important parameters that you will have to look out for. Now, based on these findings, you can formulate your own internal operations. Now, through all of this, we know for a fact that as an MSP, you're going to have access to tons and tons of data from each client. And the true success of MSP lies in the usage of the available data. So our suggestion here would be to collate all of these data in the form of reports, graphs, maybe for simple detection and identification of anomalies. Erick did throw us some light into the importance of reporting for MSPs. So for each of the KPI metrics that you identify, it would be ideal to perform regular audit for every metrics, maybe even in a higher frequency for critical KPIs. Generate these reports of audits. So as and when you meet your clients, you can have your priorities set accordingly. Now, as for new device inclusions in the client network, you can monitor and review the past incidents or patterns based on your specifications that you identify. The next challenge, or shall I say, ever worrying challenge is reducing manual overheads. So we know, of course, that MSP is a growing market and with a huge demand for managed services. To sustain this growth, you only need to look out for two answers. First would be approaching a problem with a proactive method rather than identifying a potentially fully grown problem. Next would be reducing your operational cost time, which are involved in your manual process, which means every approach to networking, fault identification, monitoring, performance monitoring, triggering alarms, every step needs to be automated at every level. Studies show that organizations reduce their operational costs by up to 30% by automating their fault management process. Now, such automation can be easily simplified with proactive remote monitoring solutions available in the market. Now, before we go into the details of the offerings, let us also look into the endpoint management challenges and best practices on how you can fix them. Of course, when it comes to endpoint management, security is always going to be the primary concern. And this revolves around your patches and security updates. So in every aspect, MSP needs to proactively look out for security loopholes. In any case, your vulnerabilities, your zero-day exploits, all of these need to be continuously monitored and fixed, and they need to be prioritized and deployed to all your client endpoints without any delay in the process. Similarly, your OS updates, your application updates, all of these need to be monitored and immediately deployed as well. Now, continuously deploying this is going to be a tedious task. So of course, we'll have to automate this patch deployment process together to simplify and secure all your endpoints together. One should also have access to your applications to revoke licenses and manage them effectively. And of course, the true simplification comes when you can have an integrated view of all the patches, all the application updates that you do together in your multi-client network. Next challenge in an endpoint management system. Of course, patching is one part of security. Security also involves a lot of other things. And here, one of those is restricting access to your corporate resources. No end user should be granted access at any network level. Your access and control should be limited for only those resources handling a particular client and maybe a few trusted admins from the client side. We did talk about applications. So applications management and validation of applications present on each device and client network. Any installation from any untrusted sources, any access to unauthorized web applications. So all of these will have to be restricted. Security threats also creep into your network via browsers. So adequate caution needs to be exercised while downloading data from untrusted websites. Now, browser control should be implemented to prevent installation of any malicious attachments or maybe any presence of any harmful files. Next, of course, is your BYOD and your remote devices. So around 60% of the organizations across the globe allow employee-owned devices. So as MSPs, you must exercise control in accessing the device functions, create containers to separate your personal and corporate data, and closely monitor devices to erase any corporate data in case the device is lost or jailbroken. Now, these are some methods of counteracting security threats, but we do understand that security is a major concern, but not the only concern. Next thing is also reducing the complexities in IT endpoint management. Now, as MSPs, you have certain key aspects that you look into. You might have to get a complete visibility of all your IT assets, your hardware, your software, of every endpoint in every client network. And to troubleshoot these devices, it should be better when you have a vendor who offers, instantly troubleshooting capabilities. You also need to have application control, as we discussed. And another step to simplifying the entire network management and endpoint management process is to integrate with tools with the trusted help desk software and coordinate tickets that are posted here and the data that is present. Of course, as MSPs, you're bound to provide an excellent client service and satisfaction in managing your organization's IT. So this, of course, is achieved by delivering dedicated support and instant troubleshooting. Now, this is reducing your endpoint management complexities. But also, you have certain day-to-day tasks, day-to-day configurations that are very time-consuming. Say, for example, you need to deploy security policies, strengthen your firewalls, apply a web filter, secure corporate access. All of these need to be customized for each of your client network. And these configurations need to be deployed in bulk to devices to minimize the time and improve efficiency. These challenges and best practices that we discussed at length, we at ManageEngine understand and know the expectations that are set on us vendors. And we intend to surpass your expectations with the capabilities built into our solutions and aid you in managing a multi-client network. When it comes to network monitoring, the solutions that we offer have features and capabilities ranging right from automating your discovery of all the networking devices, observe critical metrics like, immediately identify the status of your devices, identify and fix any sort of performance issues, bandwidth consumption, alarms and alerts, customer networks, restrict user access, failovers, everything together in monitoring. Again, on the other side of the page, when we take a look at endpoint management, we have capabilities starting right from your automated patch deployment to applications management, instantaneous remote control, 100 plus reports for each of the category, 50 plus configurations for your everyday IT management, security policies, all of these put together. So in short, ManageEngine does provide you a 360-degree aid in monitoring and managing your client network for MSPs. ManageEngine does provide an extensive solution set for MSPs to cater to all your needs. We have solutions ranging right from RMM to 24/7 ticketing system, identity and password management, and so much more. Eric would have shared you the ManageEngine MSP solutions booklet. So in this, you can have a detailed view of all the MSP solutions that we offer. Now here in particular, in terms of network monitoring, we have Op Manager MSP, a network and server monitoring solution to proactively monitor and support devices from multiple vendors. As for endpoint management, we have Desktop Central MSP, which acts as a holistic solution for endpoint management for all of your endpoints, be it your laptops, your mobile devices, your servers, everything together from a central location. Now, combining the capabilities of both of these together is our newest solution, which is RMM Central. This is a full-fledged remote monitoring and management tool which balances network monitoring and endpoint management from a single console. So with this said, let me quickly give you a glimpse into the feature set present in our solutions. Let me take you through a short walkthrough of our product, RMM Central. As you can see, we have unified endpoint management and network monitoring together in a single console. Now, navigating to the monitoring section here, you can see the dashboards. Here in the dashboard view, you can get in a single pane of glass, you can have all the data together. You can have a holistic multi-client view and also an enterprise view for each of your client network. You also have something called NOC views. Your NOC view is going to appear like this. This is a functionality which enables IT admins to instantaneously report on device performance in real time without having to use any other tool remotely to access the problem device. Here you can see something called business views. This helps you understand the device dependency in each of your client network. You can provide and create the device links and provide a geographical representation in your client network. Now, the inventory section here will provide you details of all the devices and interfaces that are present in your client network. Now, as for discovery and the admins, we have something, a specialized rule called Discovery Rule Engine. So here, this helps you automate the activities, such as, adding your monitors. Here you have discovery rules where you can activate your monitors, any devices, you can start configuring right away. You also have the capability, certain parameters that can be configured and monitored together. So as you can see, you have various networking devices and servers that you can identify and start monitoring. As for your fault management, you can trigger different types of alarms in case of any fault identified and immediately remediate. Now, moving over to your endpoint management section, here in RMM Central, let us see. Now, here you have everything ranging right from your patch management to your applications management, your inventory, your mobile device management, reporting, and whatnot. As I said before, the patch management, you have capabilities, to start all the patch views, be it your missing patches, your installed patches, all the patches that are applicable to your system. All you have to do is test the patches and automatically approve and deploy the patches to your client network. Similarly, you have applications management where you have over 8,000 plus predefined application templates that are available. So based on this, you can simplify, and with a few clicks, you can deploy your business applications to your client network. We also have a user portal with which you can enable your end users in your client system to automatically install the applications all by themselves. Then you have inventory, which gives you an overview of all the hardware and software details of each and every device in your client network. Similarly, you have capabilities exclusively for mobile devices, and you have remote control with which, with a single click, you can instantly take a remote session with your end user's device and start troubleshooting. And of course, not to mention, we have 100 plus reports, not just for endpoint management, but also network monitoring. This is just a short walkthrough of what RMM Central can do. So with this glimpse of the product, you can easily see how with ManageEngine solutions, we try to provide the perfect answer for every network monitoring and endpoint management issues that you might face. To know further about our solutions, all you need to do is sign up in the below given URL, provide your contact details, and immediately schedule for a live demo session. So we'll have a technical expert who will walk you through the entire product, customized based on your needs. Looking forward to seeing each of you into the ManageEngine family quite soon. It's time you step up your IT management strategy with powerful and simplified tools to meet all your client expectations effortlessly. That's it from my end. Thank you for connecting today.
Thanks, Nisha. I was just chatting the link in for everyone to request a demo and continue to explore the full functionality and capabilities of the platform. I was just paying very close attention, and I saw when you were doing the demo, going over where the VDI monitoring was, as we heard from Harris. You know, that's a very important key, unique selling proposition that his organization offers to his professional clients, right? Those VDIs, and having to keep up with that monitoring and updating and tuning of those workloads and things like that. Hey, let's invite everyone to chat your questions in the Q&A, everyone. We've got a couple more minutes here. Let's do a little Q&A. I want to invite back Harris and Rudy, if you would. Team, let's go ahead and come on video, and let's continue our conversation, because I'm endlessly fascinated at how technology has evolved since, you know, we were trying to put these things together in my early career, from network monitoring and patch management, and simply how complex it was. I mean, we had multiple platforms, we had multiple devices, we had bad reporting, you know, I'll have to say, you know, living through that, it was very, very difficult to actually use these services and solutions and tools strategically to prove the value that seems so effortless with using ManageEngine's solutions. So thank you, Nisha, again, for sharing not only some really great tips on, you know, the checklist of, you know, what you should be thinking about and how you should construct your monitoring and endpoint management strategy, but also walking us through just a really short demo, leaving us wanting more. So I encourage everyone to request a demo to continue the conversation. But Harris and Rudy, you know, I'd like to ask you each, you know, share a challenging story of a client that you were able to perhaps add more value or turn a relationship around as a result of leveraging some of these strategies and solutions that we've heard of. Let's start with you first, Rudy. Can you share a little bit about a challenging client situation? I mean, you know, us MSPs, we have stories for days, right? But it's always interesting to hear from partners who are doing things in a uniquely different and challenging environments, kind of pushing the envelope. I loved your comment, Rudy, about, you know, we're monitoring and patching devices in the bush, right? So it's a completely different experience for most of us. So can you share a quick story for everybody while we again ask our attendees for any questions or chat or comments? Go ahead.
Yeah, sure. I think one of our other customers, living in South Africa and having some of the challenges that we do have, and some of the folk in Cape Town will know this. Our power utility provider sometimes has outages across the country, and that causes additional kind of issues with our customers. So what we do with all our customers is we provide them access to the mobile tools on their cell phones that they can actually assist customers while they're on site. So one of our medical customers has issues. They're in the Northwest Province in South Africa, which is it's about 150 kilometers away from Johannesburg. And when they start experiencing slowdown on the network, the local desktop support person can log onto the relevant tools and show the customer and the manager in the office where the bandwidth is disappearing to. So the nice thing is they then share their application with the customer, and the business user then has the ability to actually look and see what's happening in his own environment. So the nice thing with that is it takes away the IT people being the bad cop in the whole situation, and the business manager can actually go to someone and say, can you please stop downloading YouTube and streaming live on your cell phone, because we can actually track that with the tools that we have. So the rumor gets around that it's not IT being the bad cops, it's actually business taking responsibility for their own environment. So that's the nice thing with using the tool sets. It actually gives the customer the ability to manage their own environment without being IT specialists.
Excellent. Thanks for sharing, Rudy. And hey, I just popped up a quick final poll. If you take a minute to respond to that as we pivot over to Harris. Harris, you know, same question, same setup. I mean, can you share with us something that you were able to, you know, an interesting story or something you were able to use to leverage to turn something around with a client to add some value? I love Rudy's depiction of, you know, being able to actually deliver that stuff because you're actually giving access to a customer, you know, these tools to help, you know, provide even better service. A lot of organizations, you know, may think that that's kind of an odd thing to do, but I think in today's reality of co-managed IT opportunities growing the way they have, again, I think as an accelerant from the pandemic, right? Now those co-managed opportunities are more available. So I loved, you know, your story there, Rudy, of how you're actually sharing these tools. What can you share with us, Harris, that you'd like to share?
Actually, I have a recent request I got from the sales department a few weeks back. We have a customer with around 300 to 400 VDIs being on AWS. The whole infrastructure is in AWS. And a request came to me. I'm an Azure and an AWS guy. So it was mainly, this customer, they want to try the whole solution, the whole setup in Azure virtual desktops. You know, such requests, they take months of planning, they take a lot of time and effort. But because the way we're using the imaging of the messages on RMM, we use thin imaging. We do not provision images. We don't do any capturing. All we do, we just get out of the, you know, the predefined images of either an AMI in AWS or a ready image from Azure. So all we had to do is to establish a side-to-side VPN connection between AWS and Azure, and we had within probably a day and a half, we had a complete Azure virtual desktop solution of the same environment using RMM. So we spin up a machine. All we had to do is to install the agent of RMM, and everything was there, I don't know, within 30 minutes or so. So the machine was ready. A project that could take months, it only took me, I don't know, a day and a half.
Well, you know, you've just set an expectation with the rest of your team now, Harris. They're going to want everything in a day and a half from now on, right? Hey, team, thank you so much for staying a little bit of overtime on Q&A. We don't have any more questions from our attendees. Rudy, Harris, thank you again for sharing your insights and stories. And Nisha, thank you so much for walking us through some of these great strategies and giving us a short demo of ManageEngine's capabilities in helping MSP partners. Thank you all. We'll see you, everyone. Attendees, thanks again for spending about 60 minutes plus working on the business with us today rather than in the business. We'll see you all in the next webinar. Take care, everybody.